line and listen to my stories and examples and whatever I'm going to speak today. It really gives a lot of anyhow. You feel like it's already known thing, but you to you, but I will add new perspective to the line. Okay. So let me share my screen. Just a minute. Okay. So we'll first talk about a very important element that we already had. Okay, so the stress. As I talked about, we had epigenetics concept and also stress management. But how these both are interlinked, I will tell you now today in this class. So stress is one of the biggest, cause of epigenetic change. Epigenetic means already genes are there which we got from our parents in our body. And what happens is that with the environment, with the thoughts which we have in our life, or with the situations which we go through in our day-to-day life, then our genes will change over the period of time. The structure on the genes or DNA will change. And I told your environment is a very big factor which will control your gene expression or your epigenetics. So, what really contributes to changing the genes? And the major element is stress. Okay. And what is stress? Stress is always about just being out of balance. Okay. So, everything should be under balance. But when something go out of balance in our body or in our brain, then that is called stress. I will tell you how it is and why it is and what exactly stress contributes to our life and how much important it is and how bad it is in our day-to-day life, and we'll also check how it is related to the major important concept of achieving our own goal. That's what we did in our mental rehearsal, right? I told mental rehearsal can really help you to achieve your goal in a fast forward way. But how this stress and achieving goal is something interlinked and what we should do to achieve our goal, that I'm going to talk. And majorly stress is divided into three different types. And the first type is about physical stress. Physical stress is nothing but the stress caused on your body with some kind of injuries or something which happens with the accident or when you lift heavy weights. So there are certain kind of trauma will be created or stress created on your body, physical body, and that is a physical stress. Suppose when you're holding a 5 kg dumbbell for a long time, then you will see the pain in your bicep or hand. So that really causing some stress. And that stress is a physical stress which happens on your body and your brain. And second one is a chemical stress. Chemical stress is nothing but the stress which causes, as I said, stress is all about creating the imbalance in your body. Okay. And when you take some toxin means some kind of chemicals or think of alcohol, cigarette, or maybe a medicine, something that, and which is going to create some out of balance in your body or brain or in your chemical, that is called as a chemical stress. The whatever the substance which you take inside your body, and that is going to create some sort of out of balance in your body and brain. And if that creates a stress, then that is going to be a emotional sorry, chemical stress. And whereas the last one, without taking anything, just by your thought alone, you started thinking about something, tomorrow's exam, today's presentation, and that is like an emotional stress. And I'll tell you what comes under more examples under stress, emotional stress. But there are three different forms of stress. One is physical, chemical, and emotional. And physical stress caused by the externally, like which happens to you when you lift the weights and when you carry something for a long time, and that creates a trauma inside you. And the chemical stress is all about whatever the chemical substances which you consume that creates out of some sort of instability inside your body and brain or chemical reactions, and that can lead to stress, and that is going to be a one sort of chemical stress. It's like when you take too much of alcohol and the next day you don't like to work. And yeah, I had that experience in the past, but this is what something you have to just relate with examples and you can see around you. And when you take a lot of pills, okay, tablets, then suddenly you feel more headache. And when you take some pills, so that is also one kind of chemical toxins or substance. And the last one is emotional stress, which you can easily relate with. Most of the time, your stress is a third form of stress. Okay. Yeah. So what happens with the stress generally? Each type, as I mentioned, there are three different types of stresses are there, and each type is almost triggers in your body or your brain almost more than 1400 chemical reactions, okay, in your body and brain. Whenever a stress induced in your body, then almost that triggers 1400 plus chemical reactions, and it produces more than 30 hormones or neurotransmitters. As we have seen, right, in last video, generally your brain releases some neuropeptides or different chemicals, and there are different chemical, what we say, the chemical, whatever it releases, the elements in that chemical is going to be different. Okay, so as I mentioned, we have different neurotransmitters: dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin. These kind of chemicals are there in your brain, and these chemicals have a different chemical structure. Okay, the chemical structure, and that chemical structure will be varied, and n number of new types of chemicals are created in your brain and body. And whenever you induced with a stress, then there are almost 1400 chemical reaction starts, and it also produces more than 30 plus hormones and neurotransmitters in your body and brain. And that is the effect of stress in your body and in your brain. So, as I mentioned in our stress management video, whenever you go through any stress related situation, your body, your brain activates autonomic nervous system. Okay. So, autonomic nervous system is a system where it will operate on its own by just perceiving the threat. And whenever your autonomic nervous system activated, then these are the different changes which happens. Your pupil dilates because you need more vision when you are in, suppose when a dog is chasing you, then you need a very clear eye vision. Then what happens? Most of the blood goes to your eye pupil, and then your eye becomes more bigger. Your eyes becomes eye pupils becomes bigger, and then you can see something very clearly around you. And then your saliva inhibit, like you started, swallowing saliva, and then your heartbeat increases and your lungs becomes bigger, because the lungs need to get bigger size, because the more oxygen is needed for you. When you inhale more oxygen, then automatically your lungs will become bigger, and at the same time that sends to a heart, and your heart needs to pump more blood to send a lot of energy to your hands and legs, and at the same time all the other organs which really required for you at that point of time to send more signals. And this particular area where, as I mentioned, it's an adrenaline gland which immediately send the different chemicals, and then automatically your digestive system shuts down, and a lot of things happens in your body when autonomic nervous system activated. So stress is something is going to activate immediately autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system always makes you have a two responses. What are they? I have explained in stress management. There are two responses which, whenever you go through stress, what are they? Two modes.
Fight or flight.
Flight and fight.
What is
Fight
flight?
and flight.
Protect.
Flight is to face
Situation.
Protect yourself.
the
Flight.
danger and to
Flight
face
is escape and
It
fight
is
is you
Fight
have
is
to
to face that
face.
particular situation.
Flight. Just you need basic
Yeah.
common sense to know the meanings. Flight means it will run away.
To fight away from them.
Fight means just facing the situation.
Yeah.
So when you are under the stress, your body releases that chemical, cortisol and adrenaline, and these chemicals sets you for these two reactions. One is face or flight, okay, or flight or fight. And this is generally happens with the autonomic nervous system in the background. Okay. So this is something you need to understand. I think if you already covered it, that's great. So as we are a lot of times going through different form of stress in our day-to-day life, and everything is a stress nowadays for people. Okay, and what kind of stress we go through every day means when we expect our friend to send a message on our birthday, and if they don't, then automatically we go through stress. And then when we expect that people should watch the stress management video before coming to today's Saturday session, that also can create a stress. So there are different types of situations which are creating out of balance in you, and which is making you to go through long-term stress. Generally, what happens? Something has happened to you, then you may get stressed. But every time, almost the entire day, you are being stressed with different things. Almost everything is stressing you, and then you will be constantly under stress. Okay, and that can lead to so many other health issues, and we'll see what are all the different health issues which are associated with the long-term stress. I already explained most of the things like about stress related. That's why I asked you to watch the stress management video. I hope now you had what really happens when stress releases, like HP axis get activated and so many things are there. So now let's see what are all the different adverse effects on our body or on our health when it comes to stress. So we are going to see, can anybody tell what kind of different diseases we may get with that stress?
Neck pain,
High BP,
Acne,
heart,
round
heart
face,
attack,
Thyroid PCOD, weight
PCOD,
gain, fluffy
PCOD
face,
and weight,
dandruff,
skin tumor.
sometimes heart attack.
Nice. Let's see. Anxiety. So generally, whenever you are going through stress, then you feel more anxious about what will happen next and what is happening to your life like that. You'll be more anxious when you are under stress. And when you are constantly under the stress, then it leads to depression. When you are too much anxious person, after a few months, then you'll get a depression. Depression is the highest form of stress, where most of the people who are depressed, they will commit suicide. So that's the highest form. If you have not watched, then you can watch our video depression test and then watch why we go through depression something. Okay, I've explained this. And digestive problems, because when most of the time you are having a lot of stress, means HP axis deactivates immune system, sorry, digestive system as well and immune system as well. And during that time, most of the time, whatever you eat will be just lays there and it will not get congested or consumed or digested. So it is going to create a lot of problems when it comes to health, digestive system. As I mentioned recently in one of the class, when I went to one hospital, and it's the hospital AIG hospital, which is very famous for digestive related or maybe intestinal problems. And I've seen the patients there. People, it's a very big hospital and they charge in lakhs and corporate hospital. But people who had a lot of problems because they're having so many digestive problems and they are coming and they are waiting in a queue where you can see like a lot of big crowd started gathering for getting a bed also, because there are a lot of people are suffering with that particular problem and there are very less beds are available in that hospital. So you can see how many people are suffering with this digestive problem. Why? Because of stress most of the time. And memory loss, because as I mentioned in my past presentation also, the connection to your brain gets disconnected. Okay, your prefrontal cortex and the neurocortex will be just simply get deactivated. And most of the time, when it is shutting down, then you may forget the things also. And when constantly you are under stress, then the neurons tear happens. Okay, neurons will get break up. Okay, and then they'll don't talk to each other. When they are not talking to each other, then automatically you forget everything what is stored. So when you're constantly keeping stress in your brain, then that will lead to memory loss. You don't remember and recall the things easily. And insomnia means
lack of sleep.
Lack of
Yeah.
sleep.
They won't
lack of
get
sleep.
sleepless.
And so many
Sleepless.
people suffer with, and I don't know how it look like in insomnia, because the moment when I fall in bed, then I don't even remember anything. I just fall asleep without much worries. But so many people complain to me when they join, sir, I'm not getting sleep properly. Previously, they used to always complain that I'm not able to speak properly, I'm not getting words properly. After 1 2 months, then they come up and say that, sir, I'm not able to sleep properly. Then tell me what. Yeah, generally, without even asking, also previously they had this problem, but once after they're joining English therapy, they get sleep very well. Okay, they sleep very well. And they also told me in feedbacks nowadays I'm sleeping peacefully after joining in English therapy. So there are a lot of treatment is given to you in English therapy without even you realizing what treatment you are getting from this class. So insomnia also one sort of, because stress means you're constantly thinking about something and you're fearing about something, constantly anxious about something, then sleep something will not come to you naturally. You have to take sleep pills. There are a lot of people told me they are taking sleep pills also. Even after taking sleep pills also, they're not getting sleep properly. Okay. And hypertension, they get tensed too much for simple things also, their BP goes up and they get shivering and all. And when you are constantly under stress, then hypertension will be some sort of disease you will get. And heart diseases, because as I mentioned, when you are under stress, then your heart beats to a certain extent, means the heart rate goes higher. And when you're constantly under stress, then heart functions beyond. Suppose this thing that the car is designed to drive at 80 kilometer per hour, and because of your urgency you are every time going 120 kilometer per hour, but the car engine was not designed for that speed. But There are some emergency situations, it's okay, but you are feeling like every day is emergency for you and every drive is emergency for you. And when you're constantly driving that engine at 120 speed, then engine gets heat up and then it will damage. So same thing happens to your heart as well. When you are constantly under stress, then you may have heart diseases as well. And as it goes for a long time, then you may get stroke also, because what happens, stroke means there is a puncture on your walls of your heart. Okay, that's a stroke. And then, as I mentioned, cancer also one thing. Why it happens? Cancer is related to cells. There are different tumors will be formed in your body and brain, and that can lead to cancer. In our first in this presentation, first slide, I mentioned one line. Your stress is the biggest cause of epigenetic change. And generally, you don't have cancer cells in your body. Every cell is very good cell. But when you are having constant stress, then the normal cells express themselves as a cancer cells. Okay, the gene expression will change. Just gene expression, nothing but some of the code, genetical code will change and new code will be written. That code is responsible for the cancer. So this is what happens when you are under stress. And ulcers, there are different forms of ulcers, mouth ulcers and stomach ulcers. Means some blisters formed on your body and in your intestine related, and that can lead to a very big pain and it create wounds also. And rheumatoid arthritis, it's like arthritis only, which comes to your knees or joints. Okay, so your knees and joints also will get weakened with a long term stress, because when you're constantly under stress but you're not taking any action, you're just thinking about something and not taking action, then most of your blood get poisoned and that can really damage so many body organs, and one such is your knees and joints. And colds, there are a lot of people suffer a lot in this class. Every time I see why they get cold, they come up with kerchief and something, they make sounds, and I feel very sad. Why do these people always get cold and you never see me sneezing and coughing, something like that? And I always feel like, okay, these people are going through some sort of stress and they get colds and flus also. There are a lot of people tell me, sir, I'm not feeling well, I'm having fever, and different kind of health issues they get. And aging acceleration. Yeah, there are a lot of people get older very early. When you are constantly under stress, then you may get very earlier in old age. So this is something, you'll become very old in your young age itself. And this is something which also related to stress, because everything is a cell. And when cells are getting damaged with most of your stress, then you will definitely, your cells will die and you will lose your young cells and you may get old cells. Okay. And allergies, and a lot of people also have these allergies. They have pimples and they have rashes on their body and different places. So allergies is something which mostly happens because allergy means something is not good in your blood chemical. Okay, blood chemistry changed. And why that blood chemistry changed? Because as I mentioned, your blood is, you know, mixed with almost 400 plus 1400 plus different chemical reactions and 30 plus different hormones and different neurotransmitter released, means your body or your blood chemistry changes. And that blood chemistry is nothing but almost it is becoming like a poison. Your own blood is becoming like a poison under the stress. And generally your cells need a very healthy blood, but when your cells are getting so much of poisonous blood, then that cell may create as a rash or allergy on your body. Okay. And then the next one is body pains, and a lot of people started having different kind of pains because of the stress. It could be physical stress and it could be mental stress. Okay. Next, chronic fatigue. Fatigue means loss of energy. They don't feel energetic. They always feel tired. Every time when you ask them, no, I can't do. They feel like very lazy, because most of your energy is used for all the unnecessary nonsense thoughts and feelings and emotions. Then how you will have energy for doing the good things? So that's why every time they feel lazy and they don't want to do anything, they always wanted to lie in the bed by thinking about something about future which is not going to happen, and thinking about something past which already happened. There is no control over changing that. Okay. And infertility, so which is something like you're not able to produce the babies, where you may lose the opportunity to lose produce the babies. And nowadays there are a lot of fertility centers where they cure your infertility by just doing something and operations and medicine and something like that. but it also can have a huge impact on your infertility also. And impotence means, especially for the men it related to, then their sperm quality will go down when they are constantly under stress, and whatever the sperm they donate or produce may not have something essentials to form a baby. Okay, so this also one sort, and nowadays most of the men are facing this problem because of constant stress. And this is something a very big concern nowadays, because a lot of people are not even aware of that. It cannot be visible unless until it's been tested, and after marriage only people get to know. So it's not visible to the people, so it's a very big problem nowadays people are facing. And asthma, your breathing related problems, and hormonal issues, and a lot of PCOD, PCOS, and thyroid. There are a lot of different kind of hormonal imbalance happens, and because of that, so many people are suffering with a lot of different health issues nowadays. And skin rashes, like as I mentioned about allergies, and hair loss. Now you can see so many people are getting different kind of problems, and in their early 20s only they started seeing bald head on their face. And muscle spasms means like cramps. Okay, muscle cramps, you will see something suddenly holds, and you can't move your muscle, like muscle cramps, right? You get cramps during sleep or when you are lifting heavy weights. So when the muscle is running out of hydration, when the muscle get dehydrated, then muscle cramps happens. And when it comes to long term stress also, it creates this kind of problem. And one more last important thing is, nowadays so many people are going through this problem, diabetes, type 2 diabetes. So these are all just a few health diseases. Okay. I know it's a very big list, but still there are just few health related issues which under a long-term stress. But there are n number of stress. As I mentioned in my previous presentation, around 75% to 90% of the health related issues are purely because of stress. No matter what it is, stress is always plays very big role. As I mentioned, everything is a cell. Every cell contains a gene, and your gene expression will change. Epigenetics changes, and the stress is the most major cause which can change the gene expression in your body is the stress. Okay, so the major cause for your gene expression or epigenetics is stress. Okay. I don't have any of these health issues, except slowly started seeing little bit of hair loss, but I can take care of it. Okay. So you can check if you have any such kind of things, and then you can see whether you are going through any stress or not. Yeah. And remember, as stress is something is very good to to save ourselves from our emergency situations. But unfortunately, the stress is something used to be very good in our olden days, where not olden our olden days, some years back, where we are constantly threatened by the tiger or any cruel animals, where we are constantly surrounded by some difficult situations, and we need our body to prepare for either flight or fight situation, and it is very much needed, and it used to help us to save our lives. But unfortunately nowadays the same mechanism is there, but situation everything changed. We are not living in a forest or jungle, and we're not living with wild animals. I know human is the biggest cruel animal, but still we can choose to either to live with them or not to. But nowadays also a lot of people are going through that same mechanism. Even suppose they are thinking about tomorrow's exam, that get them stressed, and even they are thinking about presentation, even speaking in the class also, everything is a stress for them. Even to wake up early morning also creates a lot of stress for them. So there are every situation is creating a stress in them. And what happens, stress is healthy whenever you can go to one particular situation. Just example that you're driving a car on the road, and suddenly somebody dashed in between, means somebody just given some dash, but nothing happened to you. You felt like almost your car got crashed. But immediately what after that, your heartbeat rises, your autonomic nervous system increases. After around 15-20 minutes, your body will come to a stage called homeostasis. Okay, homeostasis nothing but everything is in balance. As I mentioned, stress is about out of balance. Homeostasis nothing but everything is under balance, means your body temperature becomes normal, and your sweat and your blood pressure, heartbeat, everything will become normal. But every time there is a fluctuation in your body, means homeostasis get fluctuated, and your heartbeat increasing, and your sweating, and your BP going high. in this kind of situation means every time your autonomic nervous system is getting activated for simple reasons, and that creates a long-term stress. Every organism is go through some sort of stress, but unfortunately human beings are going through constant stress or chronic stress. And that's where it mentioned no organism in nature is designed to withstand the effects of long-term stress, and almost eventually you will die because of long-term stress. And what really causing stress and why you are going through stress, you need to get that clarity. And every time just know the consequence of a long-term stress. Now you got to know, right, how many issues you are going to get with the stress related. So as you keep making stress hormones, then it creates a lot of negative emotions. Okay, so may I know what are all the different emotions which you are aware of? What are all the emotions you are aware of? Name a few.
Sad,
Happy,
Happy,
sad,
Happy,
sad,
fear,
angry,
yes, angry,
fear, angry,
Fear, angry,
Depressed,
nervousness,
happy,
greedy,
greed.
fear,
hungry.
Okay, great then. So we'll
agitation,
see.
fear
Yeah,
and
as
anger.
you when you are keep making the stress hormones, most of the time when your body is filled with a lot of stress hormones, then eventually your body produces so many negative emotions. Okay, and what are all the different negative emotions? I will be revealing one after the other. As everybody mentioned, anger, and that's the moment when somebody talks about negative emotion, then first emotion comes into their mind is anger. And second is hostility. Hostility means being, treating everybody as enemies and behaving very rudely with everyone. So behaving very bad way, or treating as enemies and then behaving in a certain way. And aggression, having a lot of anger. That anger and aggression is nothing but extreme form of anger to a very certain level. And competition, when you're competing every time and trying to be better with the people. So competition is a healthy, but every time when you're comparing with small things and getting demotivated or something, then that also will become very bad. And hatred means you are hating somebody with full of different things. If the person is, if person speaking very fluent than you, then if you started feeling hatred towards him, then that also is a negative emotion. And if somebody got a better package than you, then if you didn't, then if you started feeling something inside, then a burning inside, okay, that's a hatred. Okay, so a frustration that, right, just generally you are getting over thinking and wanted to show something on the people, and you started shouting on small things also, you are frustrated. And that's also one sort of negative emotion. And fear, that okay, tomorrow when I ask you to give presentation, then you started feeling inside fear, and for no reason. I know you are not going to die at the end of the presentation, but still you have so much to deal with, and you started having panicness and all. And anxiety, this is also one sort of negative emotion which you go through. And then there are the few and some more. Jealousy feeling, it's like a hatred and jealousy when somebody is getting something better than you. And insecurity means feeling low about your own self, that you are treating somebody is very better than you, and you are feeling very low confident about different things. And guilt, you wanted to speak but you could not, then automatically you started feeling inside guilty feeling, shameful feeling. Then that is something also some sort of negative emotion. And sadness and depression and hopelessness, powerlessness. So these are all the different types of negative emotions your body creates because of the stress hormones in your body and brain. Okay, as something happened in your life, then automatically HPA axis get activated, and immediately your body filled with a lot of stress hormones, and those stress hormones immediately triggers these kind of negative emotions, and these negative emotions again make you more stressed. It's like a cycle. Okay, you will be constantly living in these kind of emotions. And are you having these kind of emotions in your body and brain every day? You go through these emotions
yes,
on daily basis.
Sometimes.
What is your
Yes,
most
sir.
frequent negative emotion?
yes, sometimes.
Anger is the most.
anger,
Fear,
Anxiety and
sir.
anger.
anger,
Yes, sir.
anger and anxiety,
Fear,
yes.
anger.
Depression.
Sadness also.
Fear,
Sadness, depression.
Sadness
frustration
also.
also sometimes.
Depression.
Depression. Who's that? Kavya. Okay.
powerless also.
Yeah.
All of the above, sir.
All of the above. That's the right option.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're having these kind of stress hormones, then these are all the negative emotions you go through. And when you are just dealing with the stress in an effective way, then you don't have to go through all these negative emotions. And when you're not having these negative emotions, then your biological changes will not happen in a negative way. As I mentioned, cancer is something which generates in your body. I'll tell you how it happens. Yeah, let me just go with. Okay, in truth, we are capable of turning the stress responses by thought alone. Like, suppose some thought came to your brain that your friend is cheating on you, then that immediately create a lot of different negative thoughts, and that negative thoughts immediately creates negative emotions, and the negative emotions you have seen, right? That again create a negative thought. So something just when you are having a lot of negative emotions, that leads to stress. Okay, different. This is the kind of cycle you need to understand. And if you understand here, when you are having this stress, there are some genes activated, there are some genes deactivated, and it's like a genes on and off, like a switch. Okay, so there is a switch in your body, in a cell. In a cell, there is a switch, and one switch is responsible for cancer. Okay, and every time when you are having a lot of anger and a lot of frustration and all, so what happens? Nothing like generally switches cannot be turned on and off, but constantly when one code comes, there is a specific code, okay, which comes in your body and which goes to inside the cell, inside the DNA, and there is a gene inside the DNA. There is a gene, and that gene, if the code matches, suppose for cancer the code is 101, and every time your body is producing with a lot of anger and so many other negative emotions, then whenever there is a 101 code comes, then that gene get activated. When that gene is responsible for cancer. So this is how the cancers or maybe diabetes or any other health issues. But whereas for health also we have some genes. For good health also we have some genes inside our DNA. But that code only comes with a different emotions. And if that emotion is constantly coming, then the switch gets on and off. So think of some switches get turned on, some switches get turned off based on the signals which comes inside to the switch. And you have to decide what kind of signals you are sending to the switch, and that decides whether you are a healthy person, whether you are having a lot of diseases. And I will tell you how it happens also. Just think of turned on any switch, but most of the time what happens, the stress not turned on some of the genes, and no, and now you can't turn it off because you are going through constant stress, and that can lead to health issues or illnesses. There are some genes inside your body, think of the switches, and you just turned it on with your stress, and you're constantly having so much of chronic stress, means continuous stress, then you're not able to turn off that switch again, then that leads to a lot of different diseases which I mentioned in the list. So this is the backend process which happens inside the gene, and when it comes to turning on and off, and that mostly happens with the stress. Okay, that mostly happens with the stress. As I mentioned, there are a lot of different chemicals which forms, right? More than 400 plus, 1400 plus. Okay. Yeah. So, and generally we get stress for different reasons, and for especially something which when we are anticipating about future event. Think of that you wanted to give a presentation or wanted to give a speech in front of 500 members, and the thought itself when you are tomorrow having interview, or maybe you are planning to give a speech, and that the thought itself about future, you're anticipating how you are going to do, can create a physiological changes inside. Okay, so anticipating possible known future scenario. Known future scenario means you are going to speak on the stage tomorrow. That's, and anticipating means expecting that. Can focus on that particular thought. When you're thinking about that incident, immediately your body will change physiologically, and immediately you started seeing that physiological changes inside your body. Means your heartbeat goes up, and you may get sweat, and your heart immediately you started seeing some sort of difference in your how you feel and all. Okay, and that moment can immediately activate your autonomic nervous system, and then you will see that body and mind connection. As you have seen in the autonomic nervous system, then your brain hypothalamus get activated, and then it will send the signals, and your heartbeat goes up, and then again heartbeat, and that scenarios again send the signals to your brain. So it's like a there is a mind and body connection will happen between your brain and your body parts. Okay, you just see the particular presentation. I have explained HP axis. In that you will see the cycle. Okay, it complete cycle, and there a mind and body gets connected, your brain and body gets connected, and that will become a loop. Okay, so there are different scientific studies have been conducted on how stress is going to on and off the genes, and what really happens when it comes to health related issues. And there was a one study which was conducted on 48 couples. Okay, and they have taken 48 different couples, and then what happened, they had a blister on their, blister means a rash, think of like a wound on their body, and they did it purposefully for 48 men's or females. And then what happened, there are three different switches. Just think of, there are three different switches in your body are responsible for curing that wound. Okay, and if those three switches get turned on, then your wound gets cured. But if those three switches get turned off, then your wound will become worst. Okay, so that's a scenario. And what happened when they took these 48 different couples, and then all the one person in their couple have a blister or a wound on their body. And now what they asked them, like, you now start having a conversation about an argument. Generally, couples have a lot of arguments, right? They started having an argument, and then slowly what happens, before the argument those switches were turned on, means when they are turned on situation, their wound gets healed very easily. But when they started having argument, then their body segregated with a lot of anger and different negative emotions, and that immediately released so many negative chemicals in their body. And those chemicals, that code went and turned off that switch, and then those three switches which are responsible for curing that blister were now turned off, and now that wound did not heal, and it take almost more time than required to heal that one small wound. So that is the impact of stress or negative emotions, which will cause so much of damage to your body and the brain. Eventually you may have a lot of health other issues also, other health issues also. So this was the first study which was conducted, and you can think of how negative emotions plays very important role in your health related, and especially when it comes to healing. There are a lot of times you go through so many healing process, right? So your healing get delayed when you are under stress, or when your body and brain filled with a lot of negative emotions. Okay, and there was one more research was conducted in a particular university, where they have taken almost 100 plus HIV patients, and then they tested that how much, because when they are under HIV, those who are with the negative emotions and those who are under constant stress, their HIV got spread so much in their body. Okay, it started with a 10%, but if they are under stress, then it became 50% HIV. Okay, they tested with the 50%. So the this particular virus started spreading too fast when it is under stress. Okay, and whereas are not only spreading very faster, at the same time when they are taking a tablets also, there is no impact at all with the tablets. The tablets, the antivirus drugs are not working in their body because of the stress. So are negative emotions you can think of. And there was one more research conducted on around 100 plus meditators. And before going to meditation, there are different genes in our body responsible for different activities. And what happens that when the people went for meditation, that there are some switches are responsible for health, and there are some switches are responsible for stress. And when they did almost every day 10 minutes meditation for 5 days, and after that they found out that there are around 800 switches which are responsible for good health are activated, and there are around 600 switches which are responsible for stress got deactivated. That means it immediately boosted their health and reduced the negative emotions in their body. You got it? So these are all the different scientific studies which really proved that how important emotions are. If your emotions are negative, then you may have a lot of health issues which you have seen. And how these emotions are being created when you are constantly under stress. And automatically when you are under stress, then your genes expressions are changing. Genes expression means like genes turning on and off. Okay. And then you understood right now negative emotions are creating so much, and it's not about merely concentrating on or avoiding negative emotions, and we should also think of how we can cultivate a positive emotions. And as we have talked about mental rehearsal, okay, in our last presentation, now think of, I'm connecting all the dots one by one. And now we have seen last time when it comes to achieving something what we want, and how we can change our body and brain by thought alone, and how to achieve our bigger goals in our life. As I asked you to achieve something, suppose I asked you to have a better health. That is your dream. Now your health is not good, and in your mental rehearsal, you can think of achieving a very good health, or maybe achieving a good job, achieving good success, something like that. And when it comes to achieving whatever you want, generally I asked you to visualize. But as I mentioned, one element in that equation left out, and that equation is about emotion. And you need to add the emotion to make your results fast forward. If you really wanted to achieve a very big health or good health, then just merely visualizing the scenarios of your future about your being healthy without emotion, then it may take a lot of time to achieve your emotional aspect, maybe good health. Okay, so emotion plays very crucial role in fulfilling your dreams or desires, and emotion is something is going to be a very key catalyst to trigger what you really wanted. And I will tell you what kind of different emotions which are required for you to achieve whatever you are doing through mental rehearsal, and how you can apply them. So this is something like, generally heightened emotions or different emotions can really create different processes. Like as I mentioned in mental rehearsal, it's like when you're having an emotion, then it's like a turbocharging, means you are making your results very faster, and it helps us to make epigenetic changes faster. As I mentioned, how genes get turned off and on and off, the chemical signals which comes in your body, right? And that chemical signals are having so much of negative emotions, then the switches get turned off when it comes to health and turned on when it comes to diseases. So, and vice versa also true. And now, how we can cultivate a positive, heartfelt, positive emotions, and what are all the different positive emotions which you are aware of?
Happiness.
Happiness.
Happiness,
Positive talk.
Gratitude.
Positive thoughts.
Positive.
gratitude,
Positive. Laugh.
Spend time with family.
Positive
Yes.
affirmations.
Reward.
Self-talk.
Illness.
Silence.
Okay, so let's see what are all the different emotions which we have, especially positive. See, now only when it comes to negative emotions, you have very big list to tell. But for positive emotions, you are not able to say more than two and saying different things. Let's see what are they, the different positive emotions which we can cultivate in our life, so that our goal we can achieve very faster. And not only about achieving goal, you will become very healthy. Okay, and your life will become much more smoother, and you may not get any diseases also in your life. And first and the most important positive emotion is gratitude. And when I ask the people to put comment also, they think twice. They think that they are giving their entire money to me. It's like a showing gratitude for something what you received is a very best way to improve your own health. I am not receiving anything. You may feel like, okay, sir, I may get money from YouTube if I keep comment. No, comments will not contribute to any, money. But if you watch the video, you may get. So think of gratitude is every time whenever you are showing gratitude to me or to any other person in your life, then your body fills with so much of positive chemicals, and that positive chemicals boost your health. Okay, and next, joy, feeling happy or joy is one more positive emotion. And excitement, as I know that a lot of people got excited to join today's class. So like that, there are so much of excitement to do different things in your life can also boost your health in a positive way. And enthusiasm, when I ask after this class, ask people to share the feedback, then there are hundreds of people unmute themselves and speak, right? So that is a kind of enthusiasm, excitement, enthusiasm comes like similar scenarios. And fascinating, like generally when you wanted to do something with full heartedly, then that also can create so much of positive benefits in your body. And ah moment, when you are going through different emotion, ah moment, there are different emotions when you see that. Yeah, I don't know whether you feel ah after watching this presentation or not, but there are some presentations can really make you that wow. That kind of moments also can really boost different chemical reactions. And inspiration, so when you're seeing somebody, generally when you feel jealous, that's a negative emotion. When you're feeling like, can I learn something from this man, what can I learn and how I can get inspired from this, that inspiration is also a very positive emotion that can really change chemical reactions in your body and brain. Okay, and wonder, when you are having different wonderful situations in your life. And let's see from some more positive, a trust, a positive trust, also very positive emotion, which can have a very meaningful chemical reactions, which can really boost your health. And appreciation, and there are a lot of times people appreciate each other, and when you are sending a lot of appreciations to some other person, inside you will get healthy. Okay, people feel like if I appreciate, they'll become better. No, it is indirectly helping you to become better in your own self. Okay, and kindness, and there are a lot of kind people are there in English therapy, and yeah, so like that, there are whenever you're showing kindness, then automatically your body releases different chemicals. And compassion, nothing but a love towards other person, trying to help somebody and trying to understand the person in a better way. Okay, empowerment. Okay, so trying to empower somebody's life with your own actions and with your own help, that also one kind of positive emotion. So these are all the benefits you will get, like with all these positive emotions, it gives you a very good advantage of maximizing your health. As I mentioned, how you will become healthy when genes turned on and turned off based on the chemicals which are receiving. Some of the times your stress genes get activated. Sometimes your health related genes also get activated. But when your stress related genes get activated, you have seen different types of health issues. And they are just normal, very small list, but there are hundreds of diseases which are mostly related with the health on stress only. Okay. And as we have seen that gratitude is the highest form of an emotion, positive emotion. And why it is means gratitude is one of the most powerful emotion. And why? And as I mentioned, one positive emotion which really helps you to achieve your dreams very much faster. And out of that positive emotion, gratitude is the most. And generally, when we show gratitude, when we accomplish something, then we show gratitude, right? When we achieve something, when we did something, we show or we say thanks to somebody, right? So think of our mental rehearsal technique. Mental rehearsal is about achieving something what I really wanted to achieve in the future, visualizing as if you already achieved it in the present moment. So when you already achieved, then what you do? You will show gratitude, right? So having that, adding that gratitude element in the present moment, your brain, body tastes that, okay, you already achieved it. Okay, your body, this gratitude chemical teaches your body emotionally that that event you are grateful for already happened. So that's where your body and brain believes that that event what you really wanted to achieve is already happened because of this one particular emotion called gratitude. And this is why I always tell the people to write the comments and write the feedbacks and also share your gratitude whenever it is possible, not only to me. Generally, I teach this technique in this class today purposefully. I only allowed the people who put the comment and who wrote the feedback. In that feedback, 90% of the people mentioned that I learned about how to deal with the stress. I'm going to work on it and I can see a lot of positive changes in my life. These are all the future cards. I don't know how much you changed, but the words you are using that I changed and it helped me a lot to come out of. And these are all the words are triggering your brain, making that you changed. And you are also showing me the gratitude that you changed and I am the one who changed you. And that really makes your brain believe that you are really changed person. And that's where the changes happens in this English therapy. You don't know the magic of English therapy. The biggest reason is the gratitude element people always show, and they learn from their seniors, because when they join in this class they always see how others are showing gratitude. Unknowingly or unknowingly they just follow as a ritual in this class. And the moment when they started following it as a ritual, they automatically see the changes, because in their brain they are already accepting that they changed even before they really changed. And because their brain doesn't know the real and imagination, then they started seeing the real changes in their life. So gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership, where you're receiving so much and then you're showing a positive emotion. And when you are having a gratitude emotional state in your body, then your body and brain becomes more into receiving. Okay, it gets into receiver mode, where it easily receives so many positive things around you and it automatically become a positive, means your life will become very positive. So coming to the different types of we have different emotions. One is as I mentioned, creative emotions, or selfless emotions, and survival emotions, like where you are in a when you are in a protection mode. Okay, as I mentioned again, relating to stress management review, when you are under there are two different mechanisms. One is a protection and one is a growth. And here survival is nothing but protection, and creative emotion is nothing but your growth. Okay, when you create something, then only you grow, right? So coming to the different emotions which comes under creative or maybe growth, is gratitude, or love, joy, inspiration, peace, wholeness, treating everybody as your own, and trust, and knowingness, presence, and empowerment. So these are all the different creative emotions which if you have, then automatically your life will become better and you will achieve whatever you want. You will become more healthy. But when you are constantly living in these survival emotions where you are in a protection mode, you have a lot of doubt, self doubts, fear, anger, insecurity, worry, anxiety, judgment, competition, hostility, sadness, guilty, shame, depression, lust. So these are all the negative emotions. Means they are all low level. You can see the bar, low level emotions. If you really wanted to get into high level, then you need to adapt yourself to higher emotions. Those higher emotions are creative emotions, or we can call it as a selfless emotions. Okay. Or whereas the below one is a selfish emotions where you wanted to get something and where you only wanted to achieve something. So these are all the emotions which can decide your life and health and your goal and whatever you want to achieve. So that's the end of the presentation. So the main concept today is about emotions and how emotion element is very important in achieving bigger things in your life. And based on your emotions, your future will be decided. And when you are having a negative emotions, then you may have a lot of health issues, which I mentioned. And when you are having a positive emotion, then you'll have a lot of positive benefits. So this is what the presentation about today. And thank you so much for joining and listening to my words patiently.